Díomh go léir chuirde agus fáilte isteach. Hello everyone and welcome into this month's member interview. I'm joined by an OG, an original Pobble member or an original Bitesize member, Peadar. Peadar, conas atá tú?
Tá mé go bra, gur maith agus tusa.
Tá mé go bhfuiltear gur fad, gur maith agat. So this is our interview that I do monthly. Myself and Neil, we interview our Bitesize members. But the kicker is with Peadar is that we've already interviewed you way back in 2020. Well, Owen has, I haven't. So it's not as if we're having a repeat conversation here because you have a new interviewer. But we're actually going to talk about Peadar's journey since then until now. It's kind of like a where are they now Bitesize members version. So I want to ask Peadar to introduce himself a little bit first, and then we can jump into the questions that I have for you, Peadar. So inish doing food fein.
Clear. Peadar Calacán is anam dom. Tá mé mar goni sas an inish ach is sas an cóh ó gúchas mé. Tá mé mar coni le ma fartí. Tá mé ag fálam a ghfuilge cuigar bliana inish capam. So I think since sin for a very short introduction.
That's enough. That's enough. So a translation then for our English-speaking viewers.
So obviously my name is Peadar Callahan. I sort of live in England now, but I'm originally from Cove, Gunty Kirky in Cork, which I didn't say that. So sort of on Elorn Biog in Cork Harbour, small island in Cork Harbour. So yeah, and I've been learning sort of Irish now for 5 years, kind of, I think. I think so. It's yeah, and I've probably almost with Bitesize for probably almost as long as I've been learning.
Yeah, well, I actually have the statistics for you. If you'd like to know, I think you'd like to know, Peadar, and I think everyone else would like to know as well. I was having a little snoop around because, as I said, Peadar was interviewed back in 2020, and I'll put the link to that interview in the description here, because he gives a much longer introduction to himself. And, you know, we talk about, or Owen and him talk about how you got to Irish and, you know, your upbringing and things like that. That's not my focus for today's interview. But I want to talk about the fact that you joined on Pobble, anyway, in 2019, in November 2019. And since then, you have visited for a total of 909 days. Now, bear in mind the weekend and things like that. We say Gaeilge gach lá. We're not militant about the gach lá part, about the everyday. So if you're doing your mathematics there, don't be saying, actually, he hasn't, it's not been, you know, 365 by 4, but or by 5 even. But you also have read over 10,000 posts on Bitesize Pobble. And for those who don't know what Bitesize Pobble is, this is our online community. And this is obviously where all of the happenings are, and where all of our members are chatting and learning and working together. And you have also created 1.1k posts, over 1,000 posts you've also created yourself. So you've been a busy man over the last years, and you've actually been with Bitesize longer than I have. So you are an OG member, and you are actually our oldest, not oldest in age, you are our longest standing member, active member on Bitesize Pobble, because of course people sign up for things and they, you know, they take 2 or 3 years of it, and then they find that, okay, they found another resource. But you've been with us a while, and I think you were important. It was important for me to check in and see where you are now and where, you know, your goals are a machine show, or you know, in the future. So Peadar, I suppose the first question would be, how have you been finding learning Irish over the last 5 years?
I suppose it has been a struggle, just because I'm not sort of in a Gaeltacht. But I think certainly as the years go on, the resources get easier and easier to actually to source. And once you know where to go, it's definitely easier. I mean, I suppose if you know, telling anyone now what they could do is definitely with Bitesize, the resources and the support you get now, I mean, is immense compared to when I first started. I mean, they're still
Mm,
very supportive in the beginning, but the amount of information that's now there is unreal. And of course, as technology improves, you have other devices that you can actually use on the go. I mean, I'm sitting here now in front of my computer, an iPad, and a phone. So, I mean, multiple devices going on at the same time. So, it's just, I think nowadays it's definitely a lot easier. Although I do
mhm.
still feel that at times when you want to say read some Irish, it's picking up a physical book. I'm one of those that I would rather read a book than actually read an iPad in terms of a book story. So, and don't make any recommendations, because anytime anyone makes any recommendations, I'm off on looking to buy a book.
I'm
So,
the same. No, no. I have so many
I know,
books and I'm halfway through 10 of them. So I agree. I understand completely. But
yeah.
I'd be when you say the changes, or what have you seen over now? I'm putting maybe putting you on the spot, but what have you seen, or what stands out to you in the fact that what has changed in bite size?
I think the structure, the main thing, and how the information is actually presented, it's definitely easy to follow. And there is a structure where before, I think there was trying to remember back now before public, there was a little bit of a structure where you obviously had to go down through the relevant sections, and you couldn't progress on to the next section until you completed the first one. But I just like the structure. Definitely, it's visually more appeasing to go through, easy on the eye, and definitely more very informative. So it's
Yeah,
it's a huge improvement over. Well, I mean, I think if you saw the original sort of platform to what it is now, I mean, it's like comparing sort of I don't know, Windows, whatever it is, 365 with a Commodore 64.
yeah.
So it is, and it's only been kind of what, 5 years, 4 years, 5 years.
Yeah, around about
Yeah,
then, because I
change.
joined Bite Size in 2020, and we still were working off the old platform. And then we launched Ashter, and we added people to the team. We have Neil, who is our content developer. So a lot more time could be dedicated into putting out content and creating a more user friendly interface, essentially. Because Bite Size has always been a small team, as some of you, even the
Yeah.
viewers, might know. You don't see lots of new faces on YouTube or on the website. It's a nice, close knit, small team, but that means that you're kind of stretching out people if you don't have the certain title job for them. So the addition of Neil
Mm.
really, I think, helped with that. And I think as well with Pubble, the online community, it was time for us to put a good structure on it. And this is where we kind of came up with this Gaeilge Gach law structure, where every day has a different activity. So Monday for us now is writing, Tuesday is vocabulary and speaking, Wednesday is reading, so on and so forth. And we try to coincide that coincides with, let's say, the live calls. So I have my monthly live reading call on a Wednesday, and every Wednesday is a reading activity. So yeah, there has definitely been some brain waves moving behind the scenes to put this all together. But I suppose getting back to the members and you, Peadar, what stood out to me as well when I was looking at you at your activity on our online platform, on the community platform, is your contribution to
Yeah.
the
Your
cause
members.
as members, Bio. And you no longer do it, but I'd like you to
Mm.
talk a little bit about it, and how you found it, and how others found it.
Well, I did enjoy it.
Explain
Uh,
first, maybe briefly, what it was. Sorry.
well, it was just a group of us individuals, whoever. It was free for anyone to kind of join. It was pretty much like a normal Tuesday BO. Anyone who felt like they wanted to come along and have a little bit of extra sort of chatting, Oscuelga, and we'd sort of I'd sort of do these like other games to help with the Irish memory games, or just reading scripts or going through different things. And it kind of sort of I know I did it for a while, and I must admit it's I did find it a struggle just because um, some of the members, past members, sort of thought I was a teacher just because of how much effort I put into it.
Yeah.
Maybe that's because of my background in terms of sort of engineering and making sure that whatever I've got in place works, and I have a kind of a structure to it. But I mean, it may be a point that I will go back to it again and suggest it again. What's been introduced recently? The speaker, I can't remember now what
Deis
it's called.
Cainte. Deis
That's the
Cainte,
one.
yeah.
Yeah, I did that I did that a couple of times. But I think just like anything else, life gets in the way.
Yeah.
So Dorsey Jacker,
Yeah.
um,
Tá sé deacair.
or do Lánach,
Mhm.
challenging. But it's maybe at some point in the future, yes, it's something I can go back to, but it makes you appreciate, I suppose, what you do behind the scenes as well, in terms of especially weekly sort of meets. I have to take a week just to do kind of once every fortnight, when I was doing it,
Yeah.
to try and prep it all and set everything up. But no, I still enjoyed it, and
Mhm.
I definitely got something from it. And it's good to have, to mix ideas in a little group of people, talk amongst
Mhm.
yourselves as to how people learn pronunciations and all of that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and when you say weekly, Ben does our weekly calls, and I do a monthly call, and even a monthly call for me now, because we obviously try and pick the best time to suit all time zones. And for us here, I'm in Central Europe. I'm at, well, it should be 9 o'clock in the night. I've pushed my call to 8:30 my time, so 7:30 Irish time. And it is hard. And I think the Desh Kainta opportunity that is there, so it's on every Thursday, it shows the need for a big enough community for it to function. If you only have three
yeah,
or four people that are active online, in a pubble, that's not really a pubble. Well, it is, but it's not a functioning community or a functioning pubble. And I think it's been tried and tested. Owen has said it before. The entire idea of bite-sized pubble has been tried and tested for years, and it's difficult to get
mm,
it going. And I'm very lucky that I came in when it was just getting going, and that I can keep it going. And without the members, I think it wouldn't. Well, not I think, I know that it wouldn't exist.
yeah,
So it's very important that everyone everyone on there wants to be there, and we're not asking people to be on there every single day or on a call every week, but it just shows that it is
yeah.
hard, but it's doable.
Yeah, but it's one thing that I quite like to do on a Tuesday. It's kind of part of my routine. It has become part of my weekly routine.
Mm,
And trying to remember when you do your Wednesday one as well, once a month as well. I get a bit
mhm,
annoyed when I miss this, because I do enjoy kind of reading, because I do have a Monday session with someone else, unrelated to
mhm,
Bite Size, through another group that I sort of with as well, that we do reading. Again, sort of very similar principle, reading sort of different books, so it all helps,
mhm,
at the end of the day.
mhm.
So I do try to do, yeah, Gaeilge gach law, because I think I say Gaeilge gach law go Joe.
Yeah.
So
Sinead, I think you've hit the goal there of saying that you've incorporated something into your routine, and that then it just feels like, it's not something that you have to think of. Obviously, my monthly call is less frequent, so you have to think of it. But when something's happening
mm,
every week at the same time, you can work around it, and you change your own routine to suit this. So yeah, I think
yeah,
I think it's good, and I think I commend everyone who is doing it, because it isn't an easy thing to sit down every single Tuesday evening and do it. I know everyone gets up and goes to work every day, but in your downtime to also do something and commit to something, I commend everyone, as it is
mm.
difficult. I suppose the next thing then would be, how do you feel you've progressed, Peadar? Or do you feel like you've progressed? Because
um,
I'm not going to test you here, but do you feel like you've progressed? Because a lot of people don't feel like they've come a long
mm,
way at all. It's difficult when
yeah.
you're looking at yourself. We're very hard on ourselves, I think.
Well, I think no, I have. I do feel that I have, and I think the more I learn, the easier it is to remember phrases, as well, and new words. I mean, even from the reading now on Wednesday, is this Feclia equipment? Now, I mean, a random word that I've only kind of saw once for the first time. I don't think I would have actually remembered it now without knowing kind of, one, I saw the basic pronunciation rules, and of course, 5 years of kind of reading and gradual, picking things up. So I do feel I definitely have gotten better. Probably maybe to the annoyance of my work colleagues, that where I start speaking Irish, just basic phrases or even typing, and I can definitely see then they're responding with Googlish replies. And sometimes they do it off the bat without even actually prompting me, because where I work, there's a multitude of nationalities, from Portuguese, Swedish, and obviously then I speak to people on other parts of the world as well through my own job and through the company I work for, China, Lithuania. So I've got multitude of phrases in different languages, but I can still only speak one. I'm getting there with a second, but so yeah, no, I do like sort of learning languages.
And
Anything.
I suppose that being said, right, and you're 5 years into your language learning journey, and I find that people quite start to get frustrated with themselves after year one, because I think people set a high bar for themselves when learning a language, and I know that I learned German, and I've been learning German for, I count, is it like over 14 years now since school, and I'm living in Germany, and I'm still not perfect. What's in any case, like at all, grammar is my downfall. And I think people jump into learning a language, and I just obviously can only speak from the learners and the members or the people who are interested in learning Irish, that they set such a high bar for themselves at the start, and when they don't reach that in year one, they might give up. And I know we were just talking before we hit record, and you said, speaking for you isn't your strong point, or you feel like it's not your strong point, but someone else might think, oh, in 5 years I'm fluent. Where do you find that balance, Peadar? How do you keep going and know that you will get there someday, but you're not yet there?
Well, I think I kind of realized early on, probably within the first year, that I need to be kind of patient, because probably somewhere, if you search on Pubble, you'll probably find a list of points that I think I raised about kind of learners. I think very quickly it was like 7 points I came up, but I think a question was asked to the group as to kind of what do you think you'd need for the values of learning, basically, and I came up with basically kind of patience, understanding, forgiveness, competitiveness, communication, bravery, and consistency. And without going into each one of those, I suppose they're all key little points to learning the language. Definitely patience is probably one of the bigger ones, because you do have to be patient, because you're going to make mistakes. It's inevitable. And even when you do sort of know stuff, and you should know stuff, especially after being 5 years, you're learning sort of Oscuelga, that's Rinne Darud Alon Focal in Welga. So yeah, I do kind of forget words in Irish, even basic ones. I mean, even I think a couple of weeks ago, I forgot the word for bad. And I don't know how many times I've used this. So I mean, as I call them, I have bald moments. So yeah, definitely. Is it Bomanti Moel? Male?
Yeah, Bummet, yeah, with your lovely Bummet there, and no Mady as well, or minutes.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
it's definitely patience, forgiveness. You know, um, and then obviously consistency. Keep on doing it to try and sort of improve. Tommy Gershik lesson on radio, radio the Gwiltica, gach lá, rhythm loan. So I listen to the radio Gwiltica every day, sort of at lunchtime. Even though I don't understand a lot of it, although I do guess I do get quite excited when I kind of go to Bitesize, you learn a new word, and then next day you listen to radio and you hear it. Where in the
that's
beginning,
always,
yeah,
yeah,
but
it's always the way.
I know, but in the beginning, it's like when I was listening to kind of forcing yourself to listen to something you have absolutely, it might as well have been Chinese, but you understand one word and it goes from there. And what I was hearing and what I was understanding is August, and we say August quite a lot. Even in English, you say that word quite a lot, and that's all I could understand. I know I came from Irish background, and I did it in school, but I wasn't from a fluent, Leafa kind of cantor area. So, um, yeah, it's they only set up a Gael skull a kind of a few years before I left, but it was only for Primary school. You know, so I'm not sure my parents would have maybe put me in there, because unless I showed some interest, they probably wouldn't have put me in there, because they didn't speak it. You know, my dad still doesn't. I think my mum knew a few words. I think my dad,
Mhm,
unfortunately, he kind of detested it. And that may well have been because of the culture, the teachers. Who knows?
mhm,
You know.
mhm.
So
Yeah. Same with my parents. My dad can't speak it. I try and test him sometimes. He's a goner for it. But my mother is learning, still learning, and I think she
mhm,
sent her two children to a Gael school, so an Irish-speaking primary school, without much Irish herself. But she had a love for it in school. Although she wasn't very good, she was fine. I actually looked through some of
mhm.
her old books from school, and I saw some of her notes, and I thought, wow, she was doing really well. But you forget it then when you leave and you don't use the language. But I was lucky enough to have parents, at least my mother, who appreciated the language and loved the language enough to send us there. But again, not everyone can be as lucky as that. So, and to come back to a language later in life is a difficult thing
Mm.
to do. And even for me, when I started learning Spanish in university, and I didn't do very well, and I tried to return to it this year, and it got even harder. It's harder to remember things. It's harder to
Yeah,
understand concepts. So I'm really in awe of all the bite size members that are learning Irish and putting time
yeah.
away to do that, because we're all adults and have lives now. We're not kids in school and just have to do our homework, and it's a total different ball game for language learning.
Yeah. I mean, even on telly now, when you hear a phrase, you're thinking, how can I say that in Irish? Or even just speaking to friends, you go something going through your head. Can I say that, in Irish as well? So,
Yeah.
I mean, there's even been times I know, because I type on the computer sort of to customers, I'm forever getting said and sheared mixed up. And I'm having to correct myself just because of the spelling, even though it's nothing to do with the context. It's just because of the words. And there's other things that creep in as well, sort of, in Irish. I've even found myself. I think at one point, I don't know. Unfortunately, my dad was in the hospital sort of last year, and there was a foreign lady, I think Polish, and instead of saying sorry English, I just came out with Gomala scale just on the spur. My mind was all over the place, and it's just like funny how it just suddenly went to Irish rather than English just to say sorry to someone.
See,
It
there
doesn't
you
often
go.
happen, but
That's how you know it's getting in there and it's
it's
sitting in
creeping in
in the
there.
back of your brain.
Yeah.
And that's the goal for a lot of people, I think, as well, to not have to think about it. It just comes out. And,
Mm.
it might not happen for every thought that you have, okay? But, these little things show that it is somewhere in there and it's lying dormant, and you're always thinking of it, and it becomes part of your life. And Peadar, I think
Yeah.
you encapsulate this, and
Mm.
it's important. But I suppose, coming to my last question, I'll put them into two. I'll split it into two shorter questions. Tips and tricks for anyone learning. I always like to hear tips and tricks, but also to reflect on your language journey. Would you have gone back and done anything different? So I suppose talking to someone just starting off. So talking to yourself just starting off, but
Mm.
maybe applying it to everyone.
I suppose starting off saying now, I think they would have a leg up compared to when I started. Because I suppose when I suddenly realized I wanted to get more serious about learning, I started looking online, and it wasn't long before I found Bite Size. Now, if I'd got there sooner, or ye had got to where ye are now, then definitely leg up because the amount of resources, whatever. Although I suppose from someone new and seeing all that could be almost overwhelming because, like, where do you start? I suppose just buying basic books, and not just one, but I mean even a multitude of books, because it's always, I think, good to have a different opinion, different sources, to kind of learn, not just through a single source. Definitely. Yeah, listening to the radio every day, a little bit of reading, meeting people, even like-minded people. Create your own group, which I do say on a Monday, and do a little bit of reading, change things up. I think one thing that I had to push myself to is even the courses that Bite Size ran. I think he ran a Cordelin. I think. I can't remember now when. If it was in Pheadair, it was a 2-week course every night for 2 weeks. That was kind of definitely switching the light on moment for me because of the pronunciation. And if it wasn't for that, I don't think I would have progressed more. So definitely learning the whole pronunciation is key. Because I think definitely with my reading, I think it's improved. Or at least you didn't comment on my reading on Wednesday. So
And I commented that at the end that everyone was great, so I didn't have any bad comments. If that
yeah,
what you, that,
no,
that's what
yeah, but I mean, I definitely, I know I'm nowhere near perfect, definitely by far, and not fluent. I mean, I think reading, and I can probably understand Irish a bit better in terms of the definitely Muin sort of dialect, Ulster. Oh, yeah, I struggle with that. Um, but that's probably more the I suppose the tips, the tricks, tips and tricks. Yeah, um, the phone apps, they're a great resource to use. Definitely Changlin, Folklore. I mean, they're on the mobile phone as well as obviously the PC. So I use them regularly, as well as actually having a hard copy of the on Folklore as well, on Folklore More, which is quite big. Which I think I bought via no, I won a gift voucher from Bitesize one Christmas. I won the I can't remember now what it was. I think you had to complete tasks daily and I got the voucher. And then what did I do? I bought a dictionary.
perfect. Prized
You know.
student you are now for that. You could have bought anything and you bought that. Well done you.
Yeah. No, I think it was having a decent sort of dictionary, um, to read. I think there is something said about actually turning a page and physically reading it. It might kind of soak in a bit better than just simply trying to source it on the internet, because we do that sort of so frequently, so easily. It becomes almost like a nature. But when you do something out of the ordinary, you might remember it a bit better. So, with the whole dictionary and physically opening up a book and looking and searching, you might retain that information a bit better. So I don't know if there's
Mhm.
some logic in that, So
Probably. I write things out. I don't read them. I have to write them out multiple times to get it into my head, for me to actually process the information. If I'm reading something important, I have to take down notes and write out the sentence. So there definitely is something to do with the movement of your
yeah,
hand and move. Yeah, definitely, 100%. I do it because even in university, when students are taking notes on their laptop, if you're writing them, I feel like I see the students who write them, and sometimes they remember things faster than those who are taking it down on their laptops. But that's just
yeah,
a biased review or a view,
yeah.
maybe. But to your earlier self, Peadar, would you have done anything different, or are you happy with how you've done over the last years?
No, I think I would have done the same. Just wish that I'd done it sooner. Certain things, you know, um, maybe gone to, say to try and sort of learn to sort of come to bite size sooner rather than later. Because it was, I don't know. I mean, it was only that one key moment. It's not as if I hadn't been to Ireland before, clearly, but it was just that one moment with my partner's cousins, and just hearing, a simple sort of sentence or word being said to his daughter, in Welga, that just simply sparked something in me to say. So obviously, when I came back, then I started just researching. So, but anything else? I'm not sure. I don't think I would have done anything else, because I mean, granted, there's now, I mean, you have YouTube and there's all stuff on there as well, not just bite size, obviously. I mean, although Ben's done a great job, the amount of videos he's putting out that's on there now, as well as obviously what was on there previously from being attacked by the insects. There was also stuff that was on from Siobhan as well
Yeah.
previously. So there's definitely a lot of resources. I think it makes it easier nowadays, and it can only get better. So
Mhm.
coming into it now, I suppose people do have almost like an advantage over those who came into it, sort of years ago.
Well,
So,
you've seen the progression in bite size and you've seen the progression in yourself. So I suppose the moral of
mm,
the story of what you're saying is there's no time like the present. So if anyone is on the
yeah,
the border of joining. Will I join? Will I not? Or not even join Bitesize, but jump into Irish learning. I'm not here to just, well, I am here to talk about Bitesize, but in general, if you're thinking about learning a language, and Irish in particular, don't put it off till the new year. Don't say, oh, I'll start in January. Do it now. Start now and start slowly, because it's not like within a year's time you're going to be fluent. It's a long road to Tipperary.
Yep.
So, you know, you may as well start now. And I think you've progressed really well in the years that I've been on Bitesize, and you know, the calls that I don't see you every week, obviously, but in the calls of reading, and I always see improvements in you and in every member. And that's not just for me to try and be nice to everyone. I genuinely see the improvement, and that gives me a really good feeling, because I feel like everyone is getting what they should be getting out of calls and out of you know, the perseverance of just learning a language in general, and that's a reward in itself.
And I mean, I've done the choros now so many times, and obviously when there's improvements, it's great. It mixes things up. But even so, even the basic one, I still turn up for the ones, you know, on you and Ireland and all of that about yourself. So but its thing is, the more you do it, again, like anything else, repetition, you get to learn. It becomes almost automatic. You know, you don't have to think about it. And for me, at the moment, I was going to try and say something now. I'll square over. So I kind of explain of for a long time. I have to kind of almost like stop myself and think, right, what do I want to say in Irish? But I've got to say it in English first, then do the translation, then try and say it. So there's been times when I trying to say something, and by the time I think of what to say, oh, they've moved on to the next question. Because, you know, Tommy Gamal, you know, is it Incan?
Yeah, Inchin. Yeah, your mind. Inchin and Inchin, they're actually two words. But
brain
and mind and brain. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I'm a big fan of yours, Pheadair, and how you've kept going. And I love to see you on my monthly calls, and I love to have you part of Bitesize still, because it shows me that you're enjoying it and you're still taking something from it. And
there's a small connection between us as well.
That's it. I feel, you know, I've never met any of you in person, but I feel very comfortable and relaxed when I'm on those calls, or when I meet you, or when I have these chats. I feel like I know you already. You know, it's not kind of an awkward video call that we're having. It's really just a chat and a catch up, and I genuinely feel that from everyone else as well, and from yourself. So it's a blessing.
I mean, that is definitely important when you come onto these groups. Everyone's sort of very friendly. You know, there's no sort of animosity at all. If someone makes a mistake, we all make mistakes. You know, it's fine. You know, so we're there to support each other. So, but I was saying about the small connection as well in terms of Dungarvan as well. So it's a small one there.
Yeah, there you go.
So I know down Bjog.
Thon down on a bheogar fad, thug down. Okay, well, we'll cut it there, because I think we've had a very nice and perfectly timed conversation, I think. So we shall leave it there. I will say gur míle maith agat a Pheadair. If anyone is interested in learning more about Bitesize, you can log on to our website, bitesize.irish/memberships. And if you need anything, if you need any information, you can always email info@bitesize.irish, and I will reply to you. I will let you know. Okay, slán go fóill, gur míle maith agat, and I'll talk to you, Pheadair, online again, and I'll talk to everyone else in the next interview. Slán.
Slán go fóill. Take a bogey.
Your Grow Irish Language journey is waiting for you at Bitesize Irish. Sign up today for Grow membership at signup.irish.